My name is Courtney and I'm 25 years old. The night my sister brought her boyfriend home for dinner was supposed to be quiet, polite, forgettable. But it turned into the moment that split my life into before and after because the second we sat down at the table, I could feel eyes on me, measuring me, judging me, waiting for something to laugh at. It didn't take long before he leaned back in his chair with that smug half smile and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "You're still unemployed, right?" And just like that, the room erupted in laughter. Not the warm kind. The sharp, cutting kind that digs under your skin and stays there. I remember the heat rushing to my face as forks paused midair. My mom avoided my eyes. My dad cleared his throat like he wished he were somewhere else. And my sister, my own sister, didn't say a word. She just sipped her drink as if this was normal. As if I deserved it. On paper, yes, I was unemployed. No office job. No neat title to brag about. Nothing they could easily understand. And that was all they needed to decide who I was. When I tried to say something, my dad cut in with a sharp look and said, "Stop making the family look bad." That sentence hit harder than the laughter because it came from him. I swallowed every word I wanted to say. Arguing would only prove their point. So I did the only thing I could do in that moment. I stayed quiet. I smiled politely and let them talk. I let them fill the silence with jokes about finding myself and waiting for the right opportunity. Every laugh felt like another brick stacked on my chest. But while they were talking, my mind drifted to the past 5 years. To the nights I stayed up until dawn teaching myself skills they never bothered to ask about. To the tiny apartment I paid for myself. To the risks I took when everyone told me to play it safe. To the work I did behind a screen that didn't look impressive at dinner tables but changed my life in ways they couldn't imagine. My sister's boyfriend started bragging about his job. How important he was. How everyone depended on him. How he made real money. That was the moment something inside me shifted. I realized they didn't know me at all. Maybe that was my fault for keeping my world private. Or maybe it was theirs for never caring to look. As he went on about his position, his company, and how hard he worked compared to people who didn't even have jobs, I felt strangely calm. Like I was watching a storm from behind glass. The truth was sitting quietly in my pocket, heavy as a secret. When the laughter finally died down and the attention shifted away from me, I decided I wouldn't defend myself with words. Words were cheap in that room. They had already decided who I was. So instead, I waited. Eventually, he mentioned his job again, dropping the company name like it was a trophy. That's when I slowly pulled my phone from my pocket. Not dramatically, not angrily, just calmly. He noticed and smirked. "What? Looking for openings now?" Another round of laughs. I smiled. I unlocked my phone and turned the screen toward him without saying a word. Just letting the numbers speak. The contracts. The emails. The dashboard. His smile froze. I watched his eyes move as he read. Then reread. Trying to make sense of what he was seeing. The room went quiet. Not awkward quiet. Stunned quiet. My dad leaned forward. My mom squinted. My sister frowned. He cleared his throat. "What is that?" "That's my work," I said calmly. Someone laughed nervously. I kept going. I explained that I worked remotely, that I built digital systems, that clients paid me monthly, that I'd been doing it for years, that, well, I didn't have a boss breathing down my neck. I had freedom. The more I spoke, the more the color drained from their faces. They realized it wasn't a hobby. It wasn't a phase. It was real. And when I mentioned what I earned in an average month, not even my best one, my sister's boyfriend went completely silent. It was more than his salary, more than the job he'd been bragging about all night. I didn't need to say anything else. The truth sat between us, heavy, undeniable. I looked at my dad and repeated his words softly. "I never made the family look bad." He couldn't meet my eyes. My mom reached for her napkin like she needed something to hold on to. My sister stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. My sister's boyfriend muttered something about not knowing, about misunderstanding, But the power in the room had shifted, and I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired, not tired of being underestimated, tired of shrinking myself to make others comfortable. I stood up and thanked my mom for dinner. As I walked away from the table, there was no laughter, just silence. Later that night, my sister texted me, "Why didn't you tell me?" I stared at the message for a long time before replying, "You never asked." In the days that followed, things changed. Not magically, not perfectly, but enough. My dad started asking real questions. My mom listened. My sister's boyfriend stopped making jokes. But the biggest change was inside me. I realized my worth was never tied to their approval, never tied to a job title they could understand. Looking back at that dinner, at the moment everyone laughed, I understand something important. Sometimes silence isn't weakness, it's patience. And sometimes the best response isn't defending yourself. It's letting the truth speak when the time is right. Because when it does, they can't laugh anymore. If you've ever felt judged, underestimated, or dismissed because your path didn't look like everyone else's, remember this: your success doesn't need an audience until you're ready. And if this story resonated with you, if you want more real, powerful stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and be part of this journey.